my name is Teresita Blanco, the Artsy sister, and today we're reading Saturnastra Loki. This is Chapter 6, Part 1. And that is what trolls are. Nah, that sounds like a sin against nature, commented Red. And that is what trolls are, commented Ingrid. Alida was the first person to fall asleep, and the weather had gotten chilly even though it was the middle of spring. And Alida coiled herself around the five corners inside the tent and proceeded to dream. And Ingrid watched with envy Alida's peaceful slumber. And dark shadows were painted beneath Ingrid's eyes as she waited in silence for her coming morning. And Red too had become rather torpid and boring, and as he pored over well-worn spelldom, his only prized possession. And Ingrid was not much for reading tomes, as enthralled magic relied more on alchemy and the spoken word. And all she needed was to remember the golden rule of troll magic: like produces like. And she stretched her hand and she grasped a few of the embers from the fireplace, and bringing them close to her heart, she whispered, "It is warm because I so desire it." And her hands soon glowed like two burning pieces of charcoal, and vapors rose from her scorching fingers, and the air grew heavier and heavier, and she started blowing on her hands to modulate the temperature. And once she found the heat most comfortable, the fireplace acquired an odd green tint, and in this new form, the heat generated by the campfire was wider and modulated, and looking up from his stone, Red commented, "Now that is a neat trick. Can you teach me sometime?" "Not really. I haven't a mind to pass my lack of knowledge to anyone," said Ingrid, yawning. "There's no need to be so rude," pouted Red. "It is for your own betterment. If you are not keen on hearing the truth, then do not ask me anything," said Ingrid, yawning once again. And Red closed his storm in a huff and went to his tent in a vain attempt to get some sleep. And every little sound of the forest gave him palpitation, and there was still 7 hours left till morning, and Loki was not showing any signs of returning. And it was a long night indeed for Loki, for he was prowling the camps of the people who supposedly attacked the sea settlement, and the group in the camp seemed like any run-of-the-mill highwaymen with the drinking and the dancing and the lecherous behavior. Why they warranted a vulture's attention was a matter of debate, and there was really nothing peculiar or supernatural about them, which was a bit boring. And changing his form, Loki approached one of them, clad in a brass armor. "Fare thee well, good gent," asked Loki. "Say your what?" asked the man asked the man that Loki had spoken to. "The booze tastes like piss," Loki tried again. Like he used too much fancy words, and the guy didn't understand it, so then he just dumbed down his language. "And you a fine and dandy boy, shunning the finest ale Aragon has to offer," rebuked another fellow. "Well, I haven't been in this company for long to develop a proper judgment," said Loki. Both fellows sitting near Loki started thinking a bit, and one, after rattling the drunken memory, summoned up an intelligible thought, and picking it up, Loki said, "I was sent by Evalance to observe your current progress." "What progress? Lately it's all too harsh." "And go to the city, go to the cemetery, and up and down the same alley, and down and up, and thrice once more," commented the drunken fellow. "I do not claim to know the inner workings of our leader," said Loki. "I am only here to see and report." The group of men around him grew silent, and Loki had made a blunder, and he tried to erase the memory of his previous sentence, but a single thought had overtaken the minds of the 7 men around him. They saw Loki as an outsider, and Loki pondered on the option of getting captured to find out more information. In the end, he concluded that it would be better to follow his initial impulse, and his body warped inside the armor, turning into a creature with 9 hairy arms, with 3 legs like those of a lizard, but with the hands and feet of a gecko. And his body became elongated like the body of a horse, with spines running down his back, and his 7 tails, each taking the form of a different snake. And the face was swallowed into the darkness by his flaring blue hair, and only the white eyes and the protruding goblin shark mouth was visible. And his transformation had the usual effect, with the running and the screaming. And Loki roared, "Attack, you cowards! You are only killing 1 man!" The leader of the troop, which had finally gotten out of his tent, tried his best to rally the troops. However, only the core 20 of his unit remains. It was a nice change of pace to be confronted for a change, and since the leader wanted to engage him in earnest, Loki grew an extra leg and arm for the balance purpose, and indeed he had appeared larger than he was. And upon closer inspection, the leader noticed that Loki was only 10 feet tall, and anything larger, and Loki would have been forced to sacrifice the bulk and limbs. Like Loki can change his shape and his height, but it has like a limit. And the limit is his actual true height and physicality, like he can alter his mass, but he cannot really expand it. Like he can alter the shape of it, but not like expand it. But not make it more than what it is. Yeah?
Yeah.
Like a cuttlefish. I like cuttlefishes. The leader recognized the fight was doable, and Loki charged at them, running like a wild stallion, thrashing and smashing into the camp. And it was not his best idea, seeing as though his leg was caught fire during his mad dash. And during the first rampage, he stepped over a couple of men, injuring them and killing one. And down to 9 working units, the leader had his men shoot Loki with arrows, and in the meantime, 2 other men would throw ropes at Loki's flaying limbs to slow him down. And surely and suddenly something that rarely occurred took place, and the men who had ran away too returned on horseback, recovering from their fright and carrying lives as a spear. Loki was skewered in all directions and overwhelmed. He was brought down and tied in all corners, and a good portion of his limbs pinned to the ground by pikes and spears. And during this interesting turn of event, Loki was rather thoughtful, and these were not the usual run-of-the-mill highwaymen. And despite catching them by surprise, they had somehow managed to win. Then again, he was clunky in his current form, which had been untested, and aside from terrifying people, it did not have any mass usage. The men who had died in the skirmish were bled, and their bodies were placed in a container, and Loki too was bled, and when he felt that they had drained enough of his blood from his body, he played dead. And with the creature supposedly neutralized, the highwaymen were more at ease and even jovial, and the leader of the group was thoughtful, though the rest of his crew celebrated, and from what Loki could gather, the men were collecting blood for the worship of the goddess Hebe. And the high priestess had ordered a sampling from the elves and what other exotic creature they could find, and the band did not linger much in destroying the camp, and they took whatever was not ruined in addition to the blood and continued on the road. And the leader gave one final look at Loki as the sun started to rise, and he had the feeling that the creature was still alive, even though it showed no signs of life. And once Loki found himself alone, he shrugged down and he removed his bindings, and after getting a quick bath, he made his way back to his companions. So since he lost the battle, he just played dead. I am uber dead. Pay no attention to the post. I am uber dead. You what? Because I can't win and play dead.
Really?
I am impersonating a corpse. During his walk, he saw a chickmunk, and he pounced on it with cat-like mannerism, killing it instantly. And back in camp, he offered it to Alida, who said, "Put it behind the carriage." "Why, when you're hungry?" asked Loki. "A little, and I can go 2 months without eating, though it is not my favorite thing to do," said Alida, averting her gaze. "Just eat your food already. There's no need to be embarrassed about it," said Ingrid, smiling. I will now close my eyes and call me when she's done with it," said Red, turning a deeper shade of green. As he closed his eyes and he placed a handkerchief smelling of lilacs over his nose. "Stop being so melodramatic and eat your stupid chipmunk already," insisted Loki, putting it on a blue china plate and offering it to Alida. And Alida took a deep sigh, and then she opened her mouth wide, and she wrapped her tongue around the dead chipmunk, and she swallowed it whole. And when she was done, she entered the carriage, and she got inside her seat to rest her meal for a couple of hours. And she felt embarrassed about eating like a snake in front of others. While Loki worked on prepping the horses, Red asked, "What happened to your hair?" "Nothing much. I lost a lot of blood in a skirmish, so a good portion of it has gone elsewhere. And I might get it back later, depending on what it discovers," answered Loki. So the blood that they took from Loki is still a part of him. He's sentient. So they took a piece of him.
Ah, it's like the Terminator.
Yeah. Terminator. Yeah, something like that. Why didn't the liquid Terminator take unusual shapes like dogs and stuff? Or they say that greyhounds can run 70 miles per hour. If they make whatever. I'm gonna get in the sidetrack. Time?
5 minutes.
What is that supposed to mean? As Red, not understanding. It basically means that one is the sum of many parts, and one of my parts has gone fishing. Ergo, do not ask me to pay attention for a while, for I plan to be distracted, explained Loki. To further emphasize the point, he brought out a sign from beneath his hair which read, I am distracted at the moment. Do not talk to me. Loki was assigned for the following week, and when there were 5 days from the citadel of the Aphelon, a fire-line pickup with the eyes of his still glowing appeared before Loki, and he curled around his head in an unnatural fashion to imitate the form and texture of hair. And his companions watched him with curious interest, but none seemed too inclined to ask, seeing as though Loki had acted so strangely for the past week. And Ingrid noticed the change while prepping for breakfast, and normally Loki would smell the food but not eat it. Not that he ever abstained from eating or drinking like his sister Medina. Rather, he found this pretty little game amusing, and it bothered Ingrid that was all that mattered. And when she saw him hovering over the crispy burning bacon, she said, "You're back." "What's the deal with your hair anyway?" asked Red, raising an eyebrow. "Unlike your hair, mine is alive. If you squeeze it or burn it, it feels pain," said Loki, simplifying matters. "Ah," said Red without much enthusiasm. Alida was reticently scrutinizing every motion made by Loki, and she opened her mouth to formulate a question, but in the end she chose to remain silent. Time?
3 minutes, 30 seconds.
In the end, it was Red who asked the question in the minds of the sister. "What is really the deal with your hair? And why were you acting so odd? Did it have something to do with your imaginary talking vulture? Did you do what it said?" "I did not have to do anything per se. It was one of those problems that in the end solved itself, as with most murder-suicide cults usually do. Even the leader went kaput," explained Loki. "And I do not see why I must be bothered with every little problem." "Well, you are a caretaker," said Ingrid solemnly. "Is that what your mother calls us? Frankly, I prefer the term freelancer or contingency expert. Caretaker makes it seem like my reason for being is everyone's well-being. And you have God for that very reason," explained Loki. "So you don't care what happens to others as a leader?" Pretending to be hurt. Loki sighed and he said, "Why must you make it a thing? Lots of people care about many things, but do they get off their lazy butts and do something about it? No. It is easy to care for others. It is another thing to do something useful or to make oneself useful. And you could not care in the very least about the life and fate of others and still do wonders for them." "So where do you fall?" asked Red. Said Loki, shrugging his shoulder. So that basically, like, he doesn't care much for others, but he still does his job, but he still does his duty. Yeah? Alida narrowed her eyes, and as her face was turning into a deep grimace, and Ingrid shuddered as she gazed on the look of utter hatred expressing her sister's face, and Alida's face softened when she noticed the gardenia still tied on Loki's hair. And the rest of the day was spent with amicable tension. It was only till the following day that things regained some semblance of normalcy. And the following day, a vulture came to pasture Loki. Loki was in the midst of fishing by the river, and it was not much as fishing as throwing his fishing boat without a hook, and the vulture came to him and said, "Your blood goddess has a new mission for you." "Ha ha ha, nice try." But he never referred to herself as a blood goddess, commented Loki, not turning around. The vulture lowered his head, looking defeated. And Loki then said, "Don't you have anyone else to bother?" "Yes, but I find your company far more amusing," said the vulture. "More the pity," said Loki. "Try to stay out of the hour for now unless you be discontinued like a raza." "I made no promises, nor am I worried about getting discontinued," said the vulture. Loki pulled the fishing bow out of the water and flung the line backwards, almost striking the head of the vulture. Taking the hint, the vulture dissipated. Time, bro?
1 minute, 30 seconds.
The day finally came when Loki and his group found themselves facing the stone walls of the citadel of the Aphelon. And the milestone still bore the same, and looked the same, and even though the area was compromised on more than a story citadel, and Loki looked at the wall, saw that the walls were fresh, and normally all the walls had some sort of moss or grime paving at the bottom, and cracks and sort. And upon closer observation, he saw that they were made of one solid material. And at the main gate there was quite a large number of people scurrying about, and the line to enter was long. And the day came and went before it seemed down enough for Loki's party to attempt to enter the city. And sorting through the met was... Oh yeah, let's leave it here. Bye bye and God bless.